Reeking down a whole chicken might seem intimidating, but once you understand where the natural joints are, it's actually pretty simple. In this video, I'm going to show you how I turn a whole chicken into breasts, thighs, drumsticks, wings, and useful pieces for making stock with very little waste. We're starting with the whole bird on a large, stable cutting board. Before handling raw chicken, make sure your knife, board, hands, and work area are clean. I'm using a sharp boning knife, which gives me better control around the joints and bones. There's no need to rinse the chicken. I simply keep it cold. Place it directly on the board and position it so I can easily rotate it as I work. First, I remove the wings. I extend the wing away from the body and feel for the shoulder joint where the wing connects to the breast. I cut through the skin first, then rotate the wing until I can see and feel the joint opening. Once again, I'm letting the joint show me where to cut. I keep the blade close to the carcass so I get as much meat as possible with the wing without cutting unnecessarily into the breast. Then I turn the bird and repeat the process on the other side. Now we move on to the first leg quarter. I pull the leg away from the body to stretch the skin and expose the natural line between the thigh and the breast. Then I carefully slice through that skin using short, controlled cuts. Once the skin is open, I continue pulling the leg outward until the hip joint becomes visible. Bending the leg back helps separate or pop the ball of the thigh bone out of the hip socket. With the joint exposed, I guide the knife around it and cut through the remaining connective tissue. I stay close to the carcass so I don't leave good thigh meat behind. That gives us one complete leg quarter with the thigh and drumstick still connected. Now I repeat the same process on the other side. I pull the second leg away from the body, cut through the skin along the natural seam, and use my hands to open the joint. Once I can see where the thigh connects to the backbone, I cut around the joint instead of trying to chop directly through the bone. Using your hands to create tension makes this job much easier. The hand holding the meat pulls it away while the knife makes small cuts through the tissue that is still attached. Now both leg quarters have been removed. With the legs and wings removed, it's time to take off the breasts. I position the bird with the breast facing up and start to remove the skin. I gently slice at the base of the skin as it is separating from the breast meat while pulling back. Now I locate the breastbone running down the center. Starting on one side of that bone, I make a shallow cut from the top of the breast toward the bottom on each side of the breastbone. Now turn the chicken on its side and locate the fat line running along to bottom part of the breast. The first cut is mainly used to mark the line I'm going to follow. From there, I use several long, controlled strokes, keeping the blade against the rib cage. As the meat begins to release, I gently pull the breast away with my free hand. That tension exposes the next place I need to cut. Instead of making one deep cut, I work gradually. I follow the shape of the ribs and allow the tip of the knife to ride along the bones. Staying close to the carcass gives me a cleaner breast and leaves less meat behind. Once the first breast is removed, I turn the bird and begin on the second side. The rib cage curves underneath the breast, so I adjust the angle of the knife as I go. You can see that most of the work is being done with the tip and the first few inches of the blade. I continue pulling the meat away and cutting only the tissue that is still holding it to the carcass. Now we have both breasts removed. I'm starting with the leg quarters and separating each thigh from its drumstick. The thigh and drumstick meet at the knee joint. One of the easiest ways to locate that joint is to look for the thin line of fat that runs between the two sections. Then I place the knife into that natural gap and cut straight through the connective tissue. If the knife hits hard bone, I don't force it. I pull the knife back, adjust the angle slightly, and look for the open space inside the joint. When you're in the right spot, the thigh and drumstick will separate without much pressure. I repeat the same process with the remaining leg quarters, first locating the joint, then cutting through the soft cartilage and tissue between the bones. This gives us individual drumsticks and thighs, which are easier to package, season, and cook separately. Now I move on to portioning the wing. A whole chicken wing has three sections: the drumette, the flat, and the wingtip. I stretch the wing out on the board so I can see how the joints line up. First, I bend the tip backward and feel for the small joint between the tip and the flat. I place the knife directly into that space and cut through it. The wingtip doesn't contain much meat, but I don't throw it away. Wingtips contain skin, bones, and connective tissue that add flavor and body to homemade stock. Thanks for watching, and I hope this makes breaking down a whole chicken feel a little easier.